Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for another True to the Core deep dive, where we bring in Salesforce product experts to go deeper on the topics that you want to talk about, to share what's on the roadmap, and most importantly, to spend plenty of time answering your questions in an extended Q&A. A quick note before we get started, this session will be recorded, so you'll be able to watch it later, or I saw someone in the chat that has to drop off a little bit early. Don't worry, this will be available on the Salesforce admin's LinkedIn page, so if you miss a question, we've got you covered. I'm Kate Lassard, lead admin evangelist on the admin relations team here at Salesforce, and I'll be your host for today's True to the Core deep dive, DevOps Center. Be sure to stick with us to the end because we'll share a link where you can vote on upcoming True to the Core deep dive session topics. Just a reminder that Salesforce is a publicly traded company. Please make sure to base any of your purchasing decisions off currently available functionality. And we really want to keep hearing from you. I mentioned that our sessions are coming from community suggestions. So if you haven't already taken the time to do so, get familiar with the idea exchange. It's one of the best ways that you as a community member are able to directly influence what's on the roadmap and be part of the product development lifecycle here at Salesforce. If this is new to you, go ahead, snap the QR code here. You can submit your own ideas. You can upvote ones that already exist. And you can also get visibility into how the roadmap is shaping and evolving, all while helping shape what comes next. So in a moment, I will have our experts introduce themselves. And when we get to our Q&A, I just want to share a couple tips on how to ask a question during our deep dive sessions. So please add your questions into the chat as we that are grabbing those from both YouTube, LinkedIn, so that we're able to get those over to our product experts. But to help us get to your question and to be able to answer it properly, be as descriptive as possible. Please specify the feature area or topic that you're discussing or asking about. Include any helpful context that our experts might need. And if relevant, call out which expert you'd like to direct your question to. If you're not sure, that's completely okay. We will ask the question and our product experts will be able to kind of grab which falls into their area of expertise. And your feedback matters. It matters a lot. This is what shapes these sessions. We've mentioned that you, the community, are the ones that are guiding these topics. So I wanted to take a moment and just give you a glimpse into what your peers are interested in and the topics that are regularly appearing in our survey results. So if any of these are of interest to you, we want to hear about it. And if there's something missing that you'd like us to dive deeper into in a future session, please let us know. We will share a link at the end of the session to a survey where you can provide feedback. And again, you can kind of specify one of these areas of expertise, or if there's something else that you would like to see or that you have questions about, please let us know so that we can help shape our future sessions. All right. Before introducing our speakers, I want to give a shout out to Alan and Jonathan. They are answering questions in the LinkedIn chat. Thank you so much for being here, Alan, Jonathan, for answering some of those questions. Those of you that are watching the chat and are here with us live, you might see questions answered in both places, and that's okay. We want to make sure that we answer questions live as well, so that anyone that's tuning in for the recording later and doesn't have access to the chat can also get those questions answered. All right, so joining me live are our experts. I will allow them to introduce themselves, starting with Gilson. Can you tell me a little bit more about your role at Salesforce?
Hi, Kate. Thank you very much. Yes, I am Gilson Canario. I am a developer experience product manager. I've been working directly in DevOps Center for the past little bit over than 4 years, even though that it feels a lot longer. So yeah, happy to be here. Happy to answer all your questions. And I'll hand it over to Sri.
Thank you, Gilson. Hey, everyone. I'm Sri Krishna, a product manager working in the developer experience org, working specifically on DX Inspector, DevOps testing, and Code Analyzer. All of these tools are integrated tightly with DevOps Center. With that, I'm handing it over to John.
Hey, everyone. I'm John. I've been here for nearly 11 years, and I lead the product line around the application lifecycle management within developer experience. and working very closely with Gilson, Shri, and Karen.
All right. Well, my name's Karen Fidelic, and I lead our team of product managers that are focused on our overall developer experience. I've been here with Salesforce for a bit over 9 years, and I've been working in this space around developer experience, DevOps, and ALM for essentially that whole time. So with that, we're going to kick things off, and I'm going to start here by giving just a little bit of a history and evolution of DevOps and ALM tooling on the Salesforce platform. To give us a sense of where we've come from, what we're now offering, and where we're going. So starting way back in 2008, we introduced change sets. And change sets was a way for low-code developers and admins to have a way to easily migrate metadata between environments. So from a sandbox into maybe another sandbox or into a production org. And change sets, it hung on for a long time. And in fact, it still exists today. Some of you may be still using change sets. But the fact is that while change sets has served a good purpose, it's not a modern solution. It's not built on industry best practices when it comes to DevOps and ALM. And so in 2017, we started a shift into this more modern and industry standard experience around development and release management, starting with Salesforce DX, which introduced modern best practices like source-driven development, source control, command line interfaces, and automation to our developer community for Salesforce development. And while Salesforce DX was very well received, it was in fact targeted at our more pro-code developer community. And so we quickly realized and knew that we needed to bring the same kind of modern goodness and adherence to industry best practices to our low-code developer community as well. And so to do that, we introduced DevOps Center, and DevOps Center being a low-code experience supporting the full end-to-end experience around ALM. And it's also built on these best practices such as source control and supports collaboration with those pro-code developers. So we then followed that up with DevOps testing, which works alongside DevOps Center and brings in an integrated testing capabilities, test management, automation, and quality gates to the overall DevOps Center experience. Now, both DevOps Center and DevOps testing were originally introduced as managed packages that were installed on top of the platform in the org. But now what we're doing is we're now moving into the next generation of DevOps and ALM on the platform. And with this, we're moving these products directly into the core platform as native apps versus managed packages. So you don't need to install them separately, they're just automatically available. We've also introduced DX Inspector to help with change management directly in the development environment. This includes offering an ability to do direct deployments from org to org, as well as providing integration with a full DevOps Center project. And with all these products being native to the platform, we're getting not only tight integration and instant access, but we're also now setting ourselves up for what's coming next, which is around agentic development, agentic DevOps, the AI world. And in the upcoming slides, we're going to dive a bit deeper into the current offerings that we have and a bit of a sneak peek into what's coming next. So with that, I'm going to hand it over now to Gilson to talk to us a bit more about DevOps Center.
Thank you very much, Karen. So yes, DevOps Center. DevOps Center is basically our tool, an app, a learning app that the purpose is just enables your team to manage the entire application lifecycle management from one single place. Basically, it's just trying to help your team collaborate together using what we call like the best DevOps practices, for example, like using source control, so that whether you are more in the programmatic side or in the declarative side, it's fine because you can continue using the tools that you're more comfortable with and all your environment will be up to sync. As Karen mentioned, we released what we call the next generation of DevOps Center, and we announced this on TDX. And alongside this, we deliver some new capabilities. For example, as part of the metadata promotion orchestration, you can now promote or deploy configuration data, React, and Data 360. I'm personally very excited about that because it has been a very good feature request from our customer from a long time. We also implemented some DevOps metric, or basically the DORA metrics, which is basically on the DevOps Center research and assessment, which is just some indicators that have been done by Google just to track how your team is performing. So now you can see that, or you can track this at the project level. And we also introduced a fully headless agentic operation of DevOps Center in which with these MCP tools is that with natural language, you can perform DevOps operation. For example, commits, promotion, create a pull request. Those are things that you can do with natural language. Upcoming or part of the roadmap that, happy to answer any questions, is that soon we're going to be able to automate testing and quality gate within your pipeline, fully integrated into your pipeline. This one, I'm also very excited about Jira and GitLab integration. It's been a long feature request for a long time, so we're happy to say that it is something that we have prioritized, and it will be coming soon. And also autonomous agent orchestration based on an event or time trigger. For example, if a promotion failed, how do we enable you agentically to automatically fix those? And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sri.
Thank you, Gilson. Think DX Inspector as a powerful native change management tool to use a simple phrase like the true evolution and replacement to change sets. Whether you're working on a sandbox, Scratch org, or a developer edition org, this tool is right inside your development environment, designed for everyone from a solo admin to an enterprise developer. So its core capabilities include unified change management, visual dependency mapping, right, allowing users to explore metadata and data relationships, visually selecting exactly which dependencies to migrate. And it also is tightly coupled with DevOps Center, right? So with this, you can create your work items, commit your changes to this work item, and also create pull requests right from inside your development environment. So data and metadata migration, when I say this, you can move your structural records like using external IDs to prevent duplicates in a few clicks. So let's also quickly look at what we have delivered recently, right? First, we have added support for deploying configuration data, which includes React and Data 360 configurations. Second, we've also highlighted in the list on the slide that dependency engine is stronger, right? We have the capability to identify and include both metadata and configuration data dependencies, and you can migrate them in a single click. Third, DX Inspector is tightly integrated with DevOps Center. Right from the screen, you can select and start working on a specific DevOps Center work item. So looking at the future, so we are actively working on adding validate only and quick deployments, automatic change management based on manifest and rerun, right? We are also adding support for content deployments if you're a CMS user. So this will cohesively complete the deployment story. So DX Inspector is all about making your path to production faster, easier, and error-free. With that, I'll pass it over to John.
Thank you, Sri. All right, so I wanted to give you guys a quick preview of what we are going to be focusing on towards Reinforce, right? The reality is that many of you are already starting to use coding agents every single day. That might be to build new features, to build entire apps. And increasingly, what we think is going to happen is that we're going to take these coding agents, anything from Cloud Code to Codex to Cursor to Agentforce Vibes, and they're going to start to play a role into wider application lifecycle management process. You're going to use agents maybe to help you set up a testing strategy for your product, to help you configure a pipeline, to run automated tests, to deploy changes between orgs, all of that stuff, right? So it's going to be far beyond the build scenario or the build stage that you have there, right? But the question then becomes, okay, if we want to bring in all of these agents to effectively augment our capabilities and run all of this automation and basically helping us deliver faster, how do we do that in a trusted and governed way? So that's going to be our priority number one towards Reinforce. Effectively build a comprehensive governance layer across the entire app lifecycle that will do a number of things. So first of all, it will allow you to set global policies that will apply to your entire landscape of agents, starting with Agentforce Vibes, and then very quickly with likes of Cloud Code and so on, right? Now, these policies are going to be read by the agents. The agents are going to try to adhere to them, but regardless, we are going to be enforcing them deterministically so that agents actually cannot work around them, right? In addition to that, we're going to provide full traceability on what kind of work agents are doing, especially in the world of DevOps Center and work items and so on. And we'll provide you the tools to centralize the configuration of which say, skills or MCP tools these agents can actually operate with. So from a single screen, you're going to be able to define exactly what all of your agents can do. We'll also try to provide additional granularity around being able to set policies and kind of this whitelisting at the level of user groups and maybe at the level of particular projects within the DevOps Center. And we'll have quality gates throughout your DevOps pipeline that will continuously check and monitor whether those policies are being adhered to. But importantly, we want these policies to be able to be consumed regardless of whether you're actually using DevOps Center to manage your changes and promoting across your pipelines or not. Maybe you're using a third-party CI/CD system and third-party agents, and we're still going to be able to consume some of these capabilities as we mature them. And once we do release that priority number 1, then yes, we're going to also build the stuff that Gilson was kind of alluding to earlier, which is the ability for you to actually define or automated orchestrations for your agents, so they can actually take autonomous actions, anything from automatically, say, sizing a particular work item after it's created, to proactively monitoring your production org, identifying issues around tech debt and creating a plan and automatically executing that plan. So there's a host of use cases that you can deliver thanks to this, and we are going to be very, very focused on ensuring that by Dreamforce, we have some really good things to show you there. That means that we are effectively moving beyond the world of DevOps Center. So what we are effectively building is a suite of capabilities that touches on anything from change management to DevOps to automated testing to coding agent governance, coding agent orchestration. And it is something that we are very keen to deliver to you guys. And you'll see more of that over the coming months as we start releasing these initial versions of these capabilities towards Dreamforce. All right, Kate, that's it for our slides. We can move on to the next part.
Sounds good. That is all very exciting. So we're now going to Q&A. Just a reminder to everyone in the chat, please make sure to add your questions to either the LinkedIn chat or the YouTube chat. And remember to add as much detail and context as possible for our experts. Let's go ahead and see what we have submitted. The questions are already starting to come in. Let's start out. We have a roadmap question. Managed package DevOps Center users, is there an ETA or roadmap item for migration to the on-core version? And that is being asked by Beach.
Great question. I can take that one. So we are currently working on providing that migration tool. In the next few weeks, so right now we are in the round of tests, and I'll be publishing something in the community so that we can gather more feedback. So in the next few weeks, we will be providing this to the committee. But all of this is to say that, yes, we are. Yes, it is almost done. It's just in the current testing phase.
Gilson, are you looking for volunteers to help take an early look at this, maybe?
Yes, correct. Thank you. So yes, I'll probably in the next few days, I'll be publishing in the community. If you're not part of the community, please do, probably in LinkedIn too, just to see if we can get some early feedback from the community. So yes, I'll be recruiting some people.
Fantastic. Everyone, make sure to be part of your local Salesforce community and keep an eye out online. We will make sure that you can provide feedback on that. Our next question comes from Nick on YouTube, and it is there a plan to make DevOps Center Fed compliant?
Another great question. So just to set the stage, today we have the managed package is interoperable, which means that it's not Fed compliant, but you can use it. You can still use it. The next generation of DevOps Center is not working on GovCloud, but we have a roadmap item so that it can be supported as interoperable. But yes, we also have an item in the roadmap that we are going to work to make it Fed compliant. I don't have a timeline yet because the process is very lengthy and it required like third-party revision, but rest assured that it's in the roadmap and we are actively looking into it.
Fantastic. All right, our next question comes from Christopher. Are there efforts at Salesforce to make the list of metadata that can be tracked and deployed from a version control tool such as Git more complete? In an ideal world, an org and a repo could have 100% parity. Right now, a repo cannot serve as a source of truth for the entirety of an org.
I can take that. So if you recall at TDX, we were talking about all of this idea of headless 360, right? So there's huge motion within Salesforce to close down any remaining metadata gaps, right? For the first time ever, we're actually empowering various teams that own the various metadata types with actual tools to help them ensure that their metadata types are available in the metadata API, that additional capabilities, potentially the likes of source tracking and so on, are potentially added as well, right? So there's huge momentum. There are still gaps, right? But we are actively working on closing them with a momentum that I've never seen before. Again, for nearly 11 years here at Salesforce.
Great. All right, our next question is a best practice question. It comes from Squire. As a team, multiple orgs, we struggle with understanding whether or not to pre-seed our repositories. What is the recommendation and why it's optional?
So let me think a little bit. So as of today, we don't have a specific feature to pre-seed the repository, and that has been in the roadmap for a long time. So when you start a new project in DevOps Center, pre-seeding your repository is optional because as you go along, as you continue to promote, you will kind of like seed your repository as you go into it. Now, it is a good practice. It's optional. It's up to you, but we do recommend that you seed the repository because that way you can, from the beginning, you will have all the context in your branch, and you can, like, when you are creating new work items and you are deploying, you will have the, let's say, the context of the org. So yes, it is recommended. There's still some nuance that depending on how you pre-seed, because there are some, since there are some metadata that are not supported by the metadata API, you might have dependencies. And at the time that you're promoting, you might hit those issues. So the best recommendation that I can say is that yes, pre-seed, but choose to pre-seed with what can be tracked and deployed through DevOps Center.
Yeah, and I would add that, again, in this era of coding agents, it's becoming more and more relevant to ensure that the agents have access to this additional context, right? We do have other things like metadata catalog and so on that will soon be available, and our agents are going to be able to communicate with it to get better context of what's in an org, right? But having the actual metadata is going to be quite relevant and powerful.
Yeah, that is a great point, John, because as you provide the agents with more context of the metadata that you have, they can work more, like they understand more, and by the time that they're building or reviewing your changes with all this context, it'll be more grounded. So yeah, that's a good point.
All right, I love this next question because it just makes me really happy to see people that are trying out new features and our advice on getting started, and they've come to the right place. So our question is, we are new to DevOps Center. Are there any expert coaching available for getting started or resources that you all would recommend?
I can take that one. I know, Karen, you were gonna say something.
You go. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have documentation, and we're currently improving our documentation, and it's very good timing because we recently launched a good best practices on how to get started in the documentation. So if you would like to get started on documentation, like, please, you can ping me on LinkedIn and I can show you where it is, or you can just in our Trailblazer community, we have it tagged on the sidebar where we have most of the documentation on how to get started. And even we have best practices, and we're going to continue working on improving those documentation.
Yeah, and I would just add
Trailhead modules, right, that we're working on, right? And
Yeah.
some of that is starting to come to life, right, that you guys will be able to consume.
Yeah. So all of that. I also was just wondering, maybe either Jonathan or Alan, who are helping moderate some of these questions here, you guys, they're a little bit more on the kind of between us and the sales process on the customer. Might also have some ideas of resources or engagements or something that are available out there. So if you guys have anything you want to throw in the chat, please feel free.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully that gets our new DevOps Center user pointed in the right direction. Our next question is, Salesforce is requesting to log into DevOps Center in order to connect to DX Inspector. Instead, can Salesforce accept the sandbox or org OAuth? This would be helpful. So I think this is maybe a roadmap question or a suggestion.
I can take this question, right? So if you are a DX Inspector user, you can do two things, right? One, you can do an org-to-org deployment where you can just connect to your target org and then do a deployment whether you want to deploy both metadata and data, configuration data. But if you want to use a CI/CD flow where you want the entire pipeline flow to be followed, you have multiple stages in your pipeline and you want your changes to be moved across your pipeline, then you need to connect to DevOps Center. But if you want to do just an October deployment, then connection to DevOps Center is not required. But in the longer run and for better traceability, the recommended path is to connect to DevOps Center and use the staged approach, where you can move these changes across your different stages in the pipeline.
I would like to also add a little bit here is that from the DevOps Center side, we do require that you authenticate because we do operations per the user level. And we need your permission, we need your credential, not only to, if you have a development environment so that you can easily access to your development environment without like remembering your credentials, but at the same time, when you're using DevOps Center, not only to like commit or do promotions, we use your credentials at the user level to do it. So at the time there is a promotion, if you even go to the target org and check the org, you will see that it was done at the user level. So that's one of the main reasons of why we do require this.
Yep, all that. I think I would just add that the bottom line here is any org that you need access to, or the product and the environment that you're in needs access to another environment, you're going to have to create that secure connection once. And it goes both ways. So if you're in the sandbox and you're trying to operate with DevOps Center, which exists in a separate production hub org, you have to make that connection from the sandbox to DevOps Center, authenticated. And then vice versa, if you are in the DevOps Center org and you are trying to deploy to a sandbox in the pipeline, you've got to make a connection from that DevOps Center production org to the sandbox securely. And just to get exactly what Gilson said, we want this secure OAuth-based connection across all the environments that you're interacting with. The key is also, though, I think it's like a one-time auth, and then we store that securely. So that's a key point, is you don't have to, log in every time you're trying to do a deployment or every time you're trying to pull a change or something. It's just a one-time thing.
Absolutely. And, security is so top of mind for so many of us right now. So love hearing how you all are securing the experience. We do have another question that's similar, just related to how DevOps Center and DX Inspector kind of work together. This comes from Annalisa, and she is saying that one of the reasons that her team had abandoned DevOps Center in 2022 was because of the lack of filtering or scope narrowing when choosing metadata. And the example that Annalisa gives is that all of her Apex classes were showing, including packages. And she's wondering now, does DX Inspector include that as a new feature?
Okay. So on DX Inspector, if you're on the metadata tab, you can still see all the metadata, right? So when it comes to filtering, we are working on it. So that's the feedback we've got recently as well, not to include the metadata from the managed packages. So that's something we are actively working on. You should hear from us very soon on that. But when it comes to the filtering part, right, additionally, what I also want to say is we have spidering. Now, let's say you have a metadata and you want to see all the relationships for that particular metadata. You can look at all the related metadata for that particular metadata and then filter out, right, whether you want to select those metadata to be deployed to the next org or not, whether you are connecting to DevOps Center or you're doing an October deployment, because the UI is the same for both.
And
Hope that answers your question.
I would like to add, like, so when you are seeing the list of metadata, like you can sort and you can do some things, even search. I would like to learn what filters, or like what would you like to do there? How would you like to be filtered? So please, like, send me a message on LinkedIn or just tag me, because we would like to learn, like, what are you looking for, and see how we can accommodate and improve that experience.
Great. So Annalisa, if you are still here, or if you're in the chat or watching this later, follow up with Gilson with the LinkedIn message, and we'll get some more information. All right. Our next question comes from Stanislav, and it is, can we do precision deployments with the DevOps Center? For example, only a couple of lines from an Apex class. And can we select the test classes for the verification?
I can take it. So you cannot select just a couple of lines from an Apex class. So it's going to deploy the entire XML file. We do have the ability to select a subset of tests that you want run as part of that deployment. And there's a feature within Apex that's pretty new that detects which Apex tests need to be run based on the changes that are being made, and only runs those. Forget what it's called, like run
relevant tests.
Run what?
Relevant tests.
Relevant. I'm like, what's the word? Applicable. Relevant. That's it. Run relevant tests, and that's a new feature. So yeah, we do within DevOps Center, when you're moving changes, we keep track of which metadata files are in fact changed and only deploy those. So we're not like deploying everything in the branch every time, unless you can choose to do that, but we don't do that by default. So we do try to optimize from a deployment perspective there, but it's not at the like fine-grained within a given Apex class or metadata XML file to only deploy certain like lines of it.
Okay. We have a follow-up on the seeding question that came through earlier. Is there roadmap item for next gen to allow for a more straightforward seed process?
Yes, there is a roadmap item for enabling the seeding, but it's just it is a roadmap item, and we're looking forward to prioritize it soon. No ETA yet, but it is.
Be a great little AI skill, right?
Most likely, yeah. Good idea.
Be a great little skill we could deliver.
Could be.
I love that. Yes, it does sound like a great little AI skill. Okay, our next question is, the Salesforce CLI added some pipeline commands. Are you able at this time to share the direction that these will take moving forward?
You want that, Gilson, or you want me? So I'll take a first stab. So we introduced a CLI set of commands to do pipeline deployments. Basically, I think this is what is being talked about here, and that's to provide that level of consistency and compatibility between the UI-based DevOps Center flow and a command line or a CLI-based DevOps Center flow. So it's like using the same underlying services. And that means that you could run those pipeline deployment commands from the CLI and it would reflect in DevOps Center. You'll see the work moving through the pipeline, and everything will stay all in sync. The goal here ultimately is to provide complete compatibility across a low-code and pro-code environment. As John mentioned earlier, this whole Headless 360 initiative is very much tied into this as well, like ensuring that we've got headless services that are available for all the functionality that we provide. So it can be run through DevOps Center UI that we provide. It could be supported through third parties. It could be supported through our CLI. It could be supported through AI agents, all of the above. And so that's the direction that we'll have complete compatibility there. Gilson, I don't know if you want to speak specifically to any like roadmappy up like near term change.
I can touch on that if Gilson doesn't.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. You start.
Now, the reality is this: we launched the new DevOps Center with a range of MCP tools that basically allow you to fully operate DevOps Center end to end through agents. We already have that, right? But we're now increasingly moving into a world where we're moving our MCP tools to skills, because skills have advantages in terms of optimizing agent context and all of that stuff, right? Now, most of the skills that we're going to be releasing are effectively telling the agent how to invoke CLI commands for interacting with DevOps Center, right? So I think what you're going to see is a host of new CLI commands to interact with DevOps Center, not just from an operations standpoint, but also from a setup standpoint. And maybe this kind of touches on the question earlier around implementation, because we do want to move into a world where the actual setup and implementation of DevOps Center is agentic too. You can actually use an agent to help you set up your pipeline and adhering to best practices and all of that stuff, and make the process a lot easier. So you don't need to be searching for documentation. An agent will be able to help you, right? But so that's the direction. We're going to see a lot more CLI commands coming from our teams, right? Thanks to the fact that we need to expose them as skills to the agents.
Yeah, thank you, Karen and John. Just to like level set a little bit here is that yes, we are going to soon release a whole bunch of like the CLI commands, so that later on, once those are out there, we will create new skills and at the same time move some of our MCP tools to skills. But ideally, as Karen mentioned, what we want to is that you have DevOps Center, but if you're working declaratively, like using sandboxes, you can use DevOps Center in your own tools. If you're using more programmatic tools, maybe the CLI only, you can use it too with the CLI commands, and DevOps Center will not. And at the same time, if you're using agentic tools, like if you're using agents, you're using skills, you will also be able to collaborate in DevOps Center with your team. So ideally, all the same like ALM flows, regardless of what tools you use, our goal is to support it in DevOps Center.
So we talked a little bit about working with agents. So we have a very specific question that's, are Agentforce-driven deployments a feature on the roadmap as part of the DevOps Center product?
Well, coding agents can already interact with DevOps Center today. That's a release feature, part of our GA. They can already operate it, right? It's not Agentforce as such. These are coding agents, right? As Agentforce continues to evolve, and the moment it starts having access to skills and MCP tools and the same ones that we provide, yes, in theory, you do be able to operate DevOps Center, right? But most people generally use coding agents like Agentforce Vibes or Cursor or Cloud Code and so on to operate.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. We have a question from Andrew. I'm trying to connect DevOps Center with a GitHub EMU account, but I don't see any SSO options beyond Google and Apple. Is this supported, or are there plans to support?
So GitHub Enterprise should be supported. So there's some extra steps that you have to take, which is like approving the Salesforce app, the Salesforce platform app to be used. But if it doesn't work out for you, please reach out to me so that we can troubleshoot, and I can, if there's something that we have to do in our end to make it work, let me know, and then we can help you, get it to work.
It should work with SSO, right?
It should.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, I want to learn why, so that way we can work with it and improve it.
Yep.
Fantastic. So Andrew, we'll follow or have you follow up on LinkedIn with Gilson, and we'll get to the bottom of that, it sounds like. Okay, we have a question. Will DevOps Center work for cross orgs? We previously have an acquisition and are having deployment issues over there. So it sounds like acquired an additional company with a different org and are just kind of having some issues connecting and having deployments.
So if I understand the question correctly, the person is asking if it works across orgs, and I'm assuming the next org is also a Salesforce org. If that's the case, is yes, because the only thing is that DevOps Center should be enabled in one production org, right? This is where DevOps Center will live. But as part of your pipeline, you can connect any other org. You can connect like any other production org. You can connect any other sandboxes. So yes, it is. Assuming that when you refer the other org, it's a Salesforce org, yes, it should support it.
I think one thing that might, I don't know if this is what they're dealing with, but there might be some weirdness that they're dealing with dependencies, like metadata dependencies, if the orgs are kind of originating from different applications or something. So technically speaking, yes, like there's nothing preventing you from connecting any orgs, like Gilson said, to this pipeline. You can do any org to org kind of promotions or deployments. If the like upstream orgs are not derived from the same production org, then we might just be dealing with like some metadata dependency issues within there, and you might have to be being a little bit more explicit about the metadata that's being deployed through the pipeline, and that can be done with the add metadata manually ability that we've got with DX Inspector. To add more metadata into the work item, into the promotion that's going through the pipeline. So that might be something to look at as well. But it's ultimately just using like the same metadata API tooling underneath the hood and doing deployments from org to org, or from the repo. It's actually coming out of the repo and then deploying into the target org.
All right, let's speaking of DX Inspector, let's switch gears and have a DX Inspector question. Is the long-term plan for DX Inspector to completely replace the classic change set UI?
Let's all say it in unison. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, the straight answer is yes, like Karen said. Right. Only a couple of features that we miss currently is validate only and quick deploy, which we are actively working on. Once we have this, we'll announce and give enough time for our change sets users to start using DX Inspector completely. So you should hear from us very soon on that.
Fantastic. As someone who has, used change sets for a very long time and has used DX Inspector, I love the unison answer and the enthusiasm behind it. All right. So this question is a bit long, so please let me know if you'd like to repeat. We have a lot of context, which is fantastic. We have been using DevOps Center for quite some time, but we frequently encounter issues when back syncing our development environments with QA. At times, our work gets overwritten, forcing us to redo everything. Our process involves back syncing our sandboxes first, then starting enhancements. However, since development can take several days to a week, other admins may push changes during that period. When we backsync again before creating our work items, we often lose our work because other admins might have modified the same permission sets or page layouts. Do you have recommendations for improving the backsyncing process?
That is a great question. The recommendation that I usually say is that backsync as often as you can. Preferably, of course, when you start work, so that you can pull in the latest changes. But as other devs keep making changes, the longer you wait to backsync, the more it drifts from the first stage of the pipeline. So the best recommendation is to sync as often as you can. But yes, there could be the option, or there could be the chance that your work is overwritten if another developer is making it made some changes. So that would be my recommendation, to try to backtink as often as possible.
Yeah, but again, if this customer is having continuously issues, it would probably be a good opportunity for us to also meet with them, right?
I agree 100%, and especially because we rely on source control and conflict detection and resolution only when you're moving from left to right, but from the like backsync, we don't rely on source control. So that could be a good opportunity to make some improvement there. So again, reach out to me. Happy to learn about more your use case and how we can help there.
Fantastic. All right. Right now, integration with an Azure repository is not supported. Are there any plans to fully support Azure DevOps integration?
The short answer is yes. Right now, we have in our and we know it's been a long time in the roadmap, but right now we have prioritized GitLab, which we're hoping that in the next following month we have it. But then soon after that, we're gonna prioritize Azure, and it's been like a high priority, one of the highest priority roadmap item for us. So yes, it will, or we will.
Great. What is the recommended alternative to having the bundling stage from Joel?
So next in DevOps Center, we do prioritize the bundling promotion, in which like when you promote all the changes, it goes together to the next stage. And the purpose of that is that we want you to think more about releases rather than specific changes. You want to release the whole stage next, because the way that you move items into the stage, let's say you move number 1 and then you move number 2. If you move number 2 to the next stage first, technically you're not moving the changes as it is, because you're testing in the first stage in the order that they came. So that might change when you move into the next stage. So we always recommend, and that's what we're like enforcing a little bit, is to have the bundling stage. But we understand that there are options, or there's urgencies or issues that you need to promote one individual work item, and we do have it. So if you go into the pipeline and you look in the drop down, you can see that it's called like select individual promotion or selective promotion. So in that case, you can promote individual work items into the next stage, but yeah, but you can promote the individual stage first, and also the individual one if you go into that option.
Okay. Let's say we have 2 new fields on the account layout, but we want to deploy them at different times. What's the easiest way for a Salesforce admin to handle this without removing the field planned?
I think it will be 2 work items. One work item will have one field, and then the second work item will have the second field. So that way you can control the scope within you include a work item. You might need to add like, probably I'm mistaken, but you might need to add like the dependency of the standard object, including with the field, which you can use the add components manually, but you can have it in different work items. So that way you can follow different cadence, and you can control how you want to move those through your pipeline.
Great. We still have questions rolling in. We have about 10 minutes left. Our next question is, can we track React UI bundles metadata on DevOps Center?
Sheree?
Yes. Yep. So we've recently announced that for TDX, right? And we've also demoed it during TDX. So if you're using UI bundles, it's automatically tracked on DX Inspector, and you can deploy it as part of your commit or auto or deployment. But if you have anything specific content, right, related to these, like let's say images or some files around that, then that's not currently supported. We are actively working on it, and you should hear from us very soon on that.
All right, let's head back to a DX Inspector question. Are there metadata or data volume limits when deploying directly between orgs?
When it comes to data records, will support up to 10,000 records in total and 1,000 records per object. And for metadata, we've not seen any limits as such, but I think you can try the maximum and let us know how it works.
We have the standard metadata API limit, which is 10,000 files.
10,000,
right?
yes.
So that's going to apply anyway.
Yeah.
And the same to metadata. There's some limit from the metadata API on how many metadata you can promote or deploy.
Yeah, that I was saying is 10,000.
10,000, yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, great. For DevOps Center, as we open up release pipelines to autonomous agents, how does DevOps Center enforce corporate policies and quality gates to ensure an agent doesn't bypass critical compliance checks?
That's a very good question. That's exactly what we are building, right? Is that governance layer that ensures that agents must adhere to those policies. They cannot be bypassed, right? Now, there's a number of ways how we'll actually implement this, right? Again, as I mentioned, we're going to start with Agentforce pipes. That means that the agent will actually have certain hooks whenever it tries to do certain operation that we're going to be checking whether those policies are being adhered to or not, right? And this is deterministic, right? So the agent cannot go work around it, right? And those policies are set globally. All agents inherited them, and they are forced to effectively follow them, right? In addition to that, imagine the agents are doing the work. They're generating changes. Those changes are pushed to the pipeline. Our quality gates will also, again, check whether those changes meet the expected corporate policies as well. So there's a number of layers to the governance that we're going to be enforcing throughout all of this.
Yeah. One more point I wanted to add here, talking about quality gates and testing. We'll be releasing testing feature on DevOps Center this week. So here, wait for our announcement late this week or early next week, once it's completely rolled out to all orgs.
And that's going to give you the ability to run automated tests from within your pipeline. So whenever a work item reaches a certain stage, you can automatically run, say, Apex or flow testing,
Code analyzer as well,
and a range of things, right, to check whether those changes adhere to best practices or not.
And set quality gates to ensure that those are enforced.
Fantastic. We have another question from Beach. If we run into an issue, is there support for Premier or Signature customers for the new Encore variety?
Yes. Because the product has been GA, you can go through the standard Salesforce support, create a case, and the team will be on top to help you support your issues.
The support model is the same with the Encore version as it was with Managed Package, right? So whatever they have become accustomed to there should still apply.
Okay, great. For DevOps Center, can you deploy industries components?
Yes. With DX Inspector, you can use it to deploy from org to org, and even with DevOps Center too. You can, as part of the promotion orchestration, it is supported. So yeah.
So the reason this question comes up usually is industry solutions don't only include metadata. They also include data as configuration
data. Yeah.
And so this year we have introduced support for management and deployment of data in addition to metadata through both DX Inspector and DevOps Center. So the short answer is yes. Like if that's the root of the issue, then yes, it should be able to go through these tools now.
Maybe like two, maybe three more questions. We'll see how we do here. Let's see. In DevOps Center, how can multiple developers collaborate without overriding each other's work?
Yeah, that is related to our previous questions that we responded. The first thing that usually we tell is to or recommend is that each developer have its own development environment so that you can work in your own space, in your own silo without overriding other developers' work. So that's one of the first recommendation. And second, because we track the environment and we track the work item, we have the feature that is called backsync that we know as part of like what work items have been promoted to the next stage by other developers, so we know like how much your development environment have drifted from the latest source of truth. The other recommendation is to backsync as often as possible, so that way you can keep your environment up to sync with the work from other developers, and that way you can try to minimize overriding your work. But also at the same time, we're going to be looking into how we can improve that a little bit further in the future.
Okay, great. And I think we can squeeze in 2 more questions. So going back to DX Inspector, this question is about dependency tracking. So does DX Inspector track all metadata dependencies automatically, or is manual mapping needed?
So if you look at the metadata APIs today, or the coverage report, we have around 700 plus metadata types in total, out of which around 350 plus metadata types have source tracking feature enabled. So if if a particular metadata type has source tracking enabled, all of those metadata changes are automatically tracked in DX Inspector, because we use source tracking as a backend mechanism to identify the changes. But in case if the metadata is not showing up automatically in change management table, what you can do is you can use add metadata manually feature, select the particular metadata, select your changes for that metadata type, and then commit or do an auto deployment.
But on the dependencies specifically, Shri, so we support a limited number of metadata types whereby we can extract the dependency tree and show it in the DX Inspector, right? So not everything,
Yep.
right? But we support most common metadata types.
Yes. All the metadata types supported in one GP package.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Our final question, and I love this one, is how do you see the role of Salesforce administrators evolving with the increasing adoption of DevOps Center?
In my opinion, now you can continue building without restriction and without thinking about a deployment failing at the last minute. And I say this because when you're using DevOps Center, you have more guardrails, you have more help, you have more repetition, you have more automation. So ideally, as we strive to keep your pipeline in sync, you can ensure as much as you can that the changes that you're making in your development environment will behave the same as you move through your pipeline. So you can reduce those late night deployment failure with changes because you don't know there might be a dependency or you don't know how to fix it. So that's how DevOps Center will help you.
Said another way, I think kind of what you're getting at, Gilson, is we can spend more time on stuff that matters and
Correct.
value add like actual development as opposed to fighting through failed deployments and debugging dependencies and things like that, because the tool helps a lot with that.
And you're going to be part of a team that includes agents. So agents are going to actually help you carry out a number of tasks that today as an admin you're fully responsible for. Right? Maybe there's an issue that someone detected in your production environment. You can point an agent to it. The agent might be able to come up with a fix. You're going to be able to have agents that monitor and ensure the performance of your prod org are adhering to best practices, right? And if not, to come up with a plan to help them solve it. So you're going to gradually shift more into the role of an orchestrator and think about maybe you're going to spend more time, discussing with your business users what are the real things that you should be implementing or what kind of changes you should be doing rather than actually implementing them yourself, right? You're going to be able to start delegating more and more to agents.
I think that's a perfect wrap up. As a longtime admin, I will say personally that using DevOps Center and being able to use DX Inspector as well has made me feel more empowered to work with that team and to be more not only just included, but have a much more thorough understanding of the DevOps lifecycle. And so I think that it's really a great feature for admins to dive into for themselves to continue their growth. So that brings us to the end of our DevOps Center deep dive. Thank you so very much to all of you, our amazing product experts, for sharing your expertise, answering all of our fantastic questions. And from all of you in the audience and watching later, we really want to hear how we did today. Take a moment to tell us how the session was and to vote on future True to the Core deep dive topics. Your feedback helps us make these sessions even better, and it ensures that we're talking about and covering the topics that actually matter to you. So remember, the recording will be available, so feel free to share this out with your team or rewatch any of the sections or questions that you would like to review. Thank you again so much for joining us today, and we'll see you at our next True to the Core deep dive.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.